The thing next to you is a pain in the
On Sunday, August 4th, Richmond County Sheriff's deputies responded to a domestic disturbance call at a home on McCoy Drive in Hoffman, North Carolina. As they attempted to clear the home, they encountered a locked bedroom door and could hear a man mumbling something to himself. Police would begin to breach the door when they suddenly heard a loud bang. Deputies were finally able to kick down the door, and what they would discover would leave them stunned and heartbroken. Inside lay the lifeless bodies of 38-year-old Kenesha Miranda Harrison and 46-year-old Sheldon Maurice Neely. In an instant, 3 innocent girls were left orphaned. But what happened, and why did this happen? How did a pen-pal relationship with an inmate end in such a grisly way? Welcome back to The Strange Bar and Grill. I'm your host, JP. Today's story tells of the unfortunate demise of Kenesha Neely, a lonely, successful licensed bail bondsman who looked for love in all the wrong places. Born and raised in the heart of North Carolina, Kenesha grew up under her loving parents who instilled in her the strong values of hard work, compassion, and determination. These values would help shape her as she entered the healthcare field, driven by a real desire to make a difference in people's lives. Working as a certified nursing assistant or a CNA, Kenesha quickly gained a reputation for her empathy towards patients. However, Kenesha's ambitions reached beyond the confines of her CNA role. Wanting to advance her career and provide a better life for her family, she made the bold decision to enroll at Capella University in 2012. Her goal, to earn a degree in business administration with a focus on healthcare management. This pursuit of higher education was no small feat, as Kenesha juggled her studies with the demands of raising 2 young daughters as a single mother. Little did Kenesha know that her life was about to take a dramatic and ultimately tragic turn. In late 2019, as she neared the completion of her degree, a message appeared in her Facebook inbox that would alter the course of her life forever. The sender was Sheldon Maurice Neely, known to his friends as Moses. His words were charming, his interest flattering, and for Kenesha, who had long yearned for companionship, his attention was intoxicating. But Moses harbored a dark secret, one that should have sent Kenesha running in the opposite direction. He was, at the time, serving a 12-year sentence in prison for a litany of serious offenses ranging from robbery to assault with a dangerous weapon. His criminal record stretched back to the 1990s, painting a clear picture of a man with a long history of violence and disregard for the law. In a decision that would prove catastrophic, Kenesha chose to ignore these glaring red flags. Perhaps it was loneliness, or the allure of reforming a bad boy, or simply the intoxicating rush of new romance. Whatever the reason, Kenesha embarked on a relationship that would ultimately lead to her demise. Their courtship, unconventional as it was, blossomed through a series of FaceTime dates and phone calls. Moses, a master manipulator, crafted a compelling narrative of redemption and change. From behind bars, he spun tales of how prison had transformed him, how he was ready to be the man Kenesha deserved. And Kenesha, vulnerable and eager for love, fell for every word. She documented their unusual romance online, sharing with friends and followers the excitement of their virtual dates. He hit me up on Facebook like, "Let me take you out," knowing full well he was incarcerated. He took me out over FaceTime, sent me money and everything. Those dates became our moments. The absurdity of the situation seemed lost on Kenesha, who was fully immersed in the fantasy of their relationship. As their connection deepened, Kenesha took the alarming steps of introducing Moses to her daughters during prison visits. These trips became regular occurrences, with Kenesha and her girls spending hours discussing future plans and forging what she believed to be a familial bond with a convicted felon. The sight of a mother willingly exposing her children to such an environment raised concerns among friends and family, but Kenesha dismissed their worries, insisting that Moses had changed. Their relationship escalated rapidly. After less than 2 years of this weird courtship, Moses proposed marriage. His motivations were likely not as pure as Kenesha believed. marriage could potentially offer strategic advantages for parole considerations. Kenesha initially declined, perhaps in a moment of clarity about the absurdity of marrying an incarcerated man she barely knew. However, she succumbed to his persistence on his second attempt. On December 17, 2021, in a ceremony that can only be described as surreal, Kenesha Harrison became Miss Neely. The wedding, held within the prison walls, was attended by her children and Moses' inmate friends, a guest list that should have given Kenesha pause, but instead seemed to her testament to their love overcoming all obstacles. In the months that followed, Kenesha's social media became a canvas for painting a picture of marital bliss that existed only in her imagination. Her posts portrayed a loving, successful union, complete with declarations of undying love and promises of a bright future together. The reality, of course, was starkly different. Moses remained behind bars, and their marriage consisted solely of monitored phone calls and supervised visits. As Moses' release date approached, Kenesha's excitement reached a fever pitch. She busied herself renovating their home, preparing for the life she envisioned they would share. Her online posts became more frequent, filled with countdowns and declarations of love. Moses was released on September 12, 2022, and Kenesha wasted no time in trying to make her fantasy of a family a reality. She introduced Moses to her world with gusto, proudly showing him off to friends and family. Online, she flaunted their relationship, sharing intimate details and defending their union against any skeptics or naysayers. But the facade of marital bliss quickly began to crumble. Just a week before their first wedding anniversary, the first public sign of trouble emerged. Moses assaulted Kenesha in their home, an incident she initially tried to hide from both authorities and her online followers. The situation escalated dramatically on December 11th of 2023 when police were called to their residence. Responding officers found a scene of horror. Kenesha had been attacked by an intoxicated Moses, who had imprisoned her in their home and subjected her to a brutal physical assault. In a desperate bid for her survival, Kenesha had managed to access a handgun, resulting in Moses sustaining a gunshot wound during the struggle. Despite the severity of the incident and Moses' subsequent arrest on charges including second-degree kidnapping and assault, Kenesha made the baffling decision to bail him out of jail. She returned to social media, maintaining the illusion of their happy relationship and dismissing the violent episode as a minor setback. Driven by a misguided vision of becoming a power couple and perhaps believing that a child would cement their troubled union, Kenesha began fixated on having a baby with Moses. After a heartbreaking miscarriage, which she bravely shared on social media, she joyfully announced another pregnancy on Valentine's Day of 2023. As her pregnancy progressed, complications arose, including a dangerous case of preeclampsia. Despite the high-risk nature of her pregnancy, Kenesha continued to present a rosy picture of her life with Moses online. On June 23rd of 2024, Kamari Marjay Navera Neely was born prematurely at 30 weeks, requiring intensive neonatal care. The birth of their daughter should have been a turning point, a chance for the couple to focus on their new family and leave the troubles of the past behind. Instead, it marked the beginning of the end. Less than 2 weeks after bringing baby Kamari home from the hospital, the unthinkable happened. On that fateful day in August, responding to reports of domestic disturbance, Richmond County Sheriff's deputies arrived at the Neely residence to discover a scene of unimaginable horror. Both Kenesha and Moses were found deceased, victims of a murder-suicide that shocked the community and left 3 young girls without parents. The investigation revealed a volatile domestic situation that had spiraled out of control, culminating in a final act of violence. The exact details of what transpired in those last moments remain unclear, but the outcome was devastating. A family destroyed, lives cut short, and a community left to grapple with the aftermath of a tragedy that many felt could have been prevented. Kenesha was laid to rest on August 13, 2024. Many who attended had known only the carefully curated version of Kenesha's life that she presented on social media. They came to grieve not only her death, but also the revelation of her hidden struggles and the violent reality of her final days. In a cruel twist of fate, it was revealed that Kanisha had once publicly mourned the murder of a close friend at the hands of an abusive boyfriend. She had expressed outrage and sorrow at the same time, never imagining that she would one day meet the same tragic fate.